Hello.
There we go.
I'm not going to say anything. No. Oh, I'm loud. I taught middle school for 13 years. You have to just wait until all the goodies are handed out because it's no good. Because you got a new toy and you got to play with it and you got to read it. Yeah, so thank you all for having me today. Thank you, Norma and Greg, for having us. About 2 years ago, I had a Facebook friend tag me in a post or tag me in a comment. Carrie had posted that she was looking for someone to do strength training with, that she wanted to get stronger, work on her mobility, but she has this condition, and did anybody know anybody that would work with her? Well, a mutual friend tagged me, and I reached out to Carrie. I said, hey, I know nothing about your condition, but I am willing to learn, and I'm willing to give it a go if you're willing to try right along with me. So like Greg was saying, Carrie and I have been working together since pre-COVID, like a long time. Yeah.
Over 2 years. Yeah.
Over 2 years, yeah. So then Carrie, like Greg said, Carrie pulled Greg over into the cult. And then there's another person in our area that has HSP, and I work with him an hour every week. And like Greg said, I'm not a physical therapist. Everybody in my family is medical, so I'm a doctor by proxy, okay? I can fix all your problems. No. So, you know, that's how we got started. We are working with those guys. But I think the way we approach it is I'm not working with someone with a condition. I'm working with someone that wants to work out. And if I ask you to squat and you're like, haha, yeah, right. Well, okay, how can we make that happen? What can we do? What's similar? So my husband and I have been in the fitness industry for about 12 years. This is what we both do full time now. Like I said, I taught middle school for 13 years. He's a high school teacher for a few years. And then we went off into the fitness realm. One thing we see, yeah, and if you haven't gotten your toys out, get your toys out because you're fixing to use them. Open those bad boys up. One thing we see throughout the community is that if you don't use it, you lose it. And I'm sure we've all heard that expression. I have a lot of older clientele that I work with. They're 60 plus. When they come to me, they're not able to do this. Because when do you do that on a day-to-day basis? Well, you get down there and you open the cabinet, right? It's a functional movement. But they haven't done it in a while, so they lose it. So my job is to help them bring it back. You guys are really no different. You're just possibly losing it at a different rate, a faster rate. And our job is to help you keep it as long as you can. And our job is to help you, figure out, well, if I am unable to do, like I said earlier, the squat, what can I do that's going to keep my backside active, that's going to keep my toes working? So we're going to start off today by showing you some movements with these bands. We're also going to show you some movements that don't use these bands. And I've got my cheat sheet back here to keep me on course, so please don't be offended if I stop and turn around. So we're going to start off, if you've got your bands out, I'm probably going to be using the light blue one today. It's the lightest one, but you use whatever feels good for you. They didn't tell you they're giving you a dangerous weapon, all right? So be careful. Like, watch where your handles are flinging. Don't hit your neighbor. So like I said, I'm probably going to use the light one. They go up in resistance, depending on which color you got. And everybody in here should have one. So I like to kind of choke up. For what we're going to do first, if you just hold the handles, it's too long. So I'm just going to kind of choke up. He's going to use it without the handles. All right, so we'll let everybody play catch up right quick. Yeah, watch your neighbor. Yes. Yeah, stand up, absolutely. If you want to stand up, stand up. We should have some music. Like, I'm not Jane Fonda, but I kind of always wanted to be. All right, so we're going to take it out in front of us. You want to get just enough tension that it's not droopy, but not so tight that the minute you pull, it's going to snap. All right, so we're going to set our shoulders back and down, and we're just going to pull, okay? And if you're not pulling, I'm going to come find you and ask why you're not pulling. Good, so we're going to get, 10 to 15 of those.
So you're just going to pull until your shoulder blades pinch together in the back, feel that tension, and then release and come back forward.
Okay. I heard y'all were kind of cold too, so maybe this will help. All right, another variation of that is we can take our hands same distance, but you can just turn your grip over. All right, so you can be an underhand grip. And I'm not going to go through like 5 million of these, but you can do it this way, right? You can take it on the diagonal. And then keep it even, go the other way. Yeah, it's going to help with your posture. And a lot of times, balance is one of the first things that we all start struggling with, regardless of our condition. It's one of the first things that goes with age. Just being able to stand up, squeeze your butt, squeeze your belly, and control this movement, right? And if you cannot stand up, just doing it seated, but trying to stay up nice and tall while you're doing it. All right, this next thing we're going to have you do, you're going to need a chair. So preferably the chair in front of you. If you're in the front row, you may have to rearrange a little bit. If you've got a friend, you can help them. So you're going to take one of the handles. You're going to feed it through this tiny little hole right here. This is another point of safety first. He said something mean to me on the way here.
Don't let go.
So if you're at home, you might use a door handle for this. If you've got a chair that you can wrap it around. You just want to have it anchored against something. All right, I'm going to let you explain and I'll do.
All right, so we're going to do the alphabet basically. We're going to start with a V position. So the palms are facing out, and she's just going to pull back, and we're going to get 10 of those in.
Give me 10.
Pulling straight back.
Yeah, scooch forward if there's not enough tension. And again, if you're not feeling anything, this band may be too light, and you might want to switch to one of the thicker ones. All right, we got 10 of those.
All right, the next one is a T out to the side.
So while I'm doing this, I'm pinching my shoulder blades together. I'm holding my tummy tight. I'm not like...
So we're purposely squeezing our glutes. Our belly's really tight. Everything's nice and stacked as we're doing these movements.
So earlier someone asked, about strength training without weights. This is strength training without weights. This is building those muscles, especially if you're putting your mind on the muscle you're trying to use. So if I'm squeezing my back muscles and I'm pinching with my brain, right, then I'm building something back there. Okay.
All right, and our third one is a Y. Come up to this top position. This is the most challenging of the three. Going overhead.
Why is this the most challenging? Well, in my opinion, it's because I really want to do this, but I need to be doing this. Right? So we're trying not to be all shrugged up. And again, if you're able to stand, this is an excellent balance exercise. If you're not able to stand, you can totally do it seated. Just kind of sit up a little bit. Don't let the backrest of the chair help you out. Kind of come up into it a little bit. All right.
So those we call Y, T's, and V's.
W.
And then our W position.
So this. Yep.
So let's do 10 of those. Our elbows are bent, and we're just simply pulling back.
The possible flaw here, and I see it in both males and females, but it's more females. We want to pull a cheerleader. All right, so we need to keep this all tucked. So this is all nice and tight. My belly's tight, my butt's tight, and only my shoulders and my back are working. All right. Are your shoulders warm now?
Yes.
Good. Okay, if you're standing, let's go ahead and stay standing. If you're not standing, you can do this. Jeremy, just leave that up here. I might need that in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to try to stretch out the backside just a little bit. We're going to do a toy soldier, a low toy soldier is what we call them. So you're going to kick your heel up, and you're going to reach down and touch that toe as far as you can, right? Yeah, exactly. So you can hold on to that chair if you need a little assistance. If it's not happening, that's cool. Go as low as you can go. Go until you feel that stretch or something back there. If you're seated, I'm going to let you do this. If you're seated, you're going to kick that leg out straight, and you're going to reach for that toe.
With the opposite arm.
And if that's not happening, that's cool. Just try to straighten the leg and give a little wiggle. That's one reason that I like doing what I'm doing, is because I can take this exercise and I can find the fittest person I know and have them do it. And then I can have Joe that just got off the couch yesterday do it. I can have you in the third row on the right do it. Maybe not the exact same thing, but we can figure out a way to make it work. And this is something I should say at the end, but you need to find someone, if you're interested in getting some movement in, getting some strength training in, you need to find someone that'll do that for you. You need to find somebody who will take you where you are and accept you where you are, but also push you to where you want to be. There's no reason you can't move a little better tomorrow than you did today on something if you want to. So that's our warm-up. We kind of got all of our bodies moving. And now we're going to let this man talk because he knows I'm the cheerleader, yay, go, rah. And he's the man with the plan. So I'm going to hand it off to him.
I'm not for sure about that. But I do know that we start off by our feet are what make connection with our earth. So with that being said, we want to start off by just taking our toes and crunching them together as hard as we can. And then count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release.
Let's see, I'm going to walk around. I'm
so
going to see your
I
shoes.
want to do that 10 sets of that. So take our toes, let's crunch them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And
so let's do that
release.
for 10
Yes.
sets there.
Crunch. Yeah, we're
What this is
crunching our
doing is just activating the muscles in the bottom of our feet, making sure that all our toes are working. We have all these sensories in the bottom of our feet. So if our feet are working like they're supposed to, this goes up the chain of our body. Makes our hips work, our glutes work, our quads work, our calves work. Everything starts to work together with all these nerve endings.
And so the feet, how far are your feet from your noggin? The furthest, right? So if we're trying to keep those neural pathways fresh, and we're trying to keep those neural pathways running, and we're trying to keep them from too early, well, from the brain to the toe is the longest path. So if you're sending signals all the way down there, even if those signals go a little haywire and you're like, nothing's happening, you're still trying. And you're still running that road in. So we want to start at our feet and make sure we're working those every single day. It's not sexy. It's boring as all get out, but it's good for you.
It's important that our feet work. Exactly. All right, and so next, after we do that, we want to do something that's called a a tibialis raise or a tib raise. So it's pretty simple. All we're wanting to do is straighten and lock our knee out. And then we're going to take our toes and we're going to pull those up to our shin as hard as we can. As we do that, we're going to feel it pull through our calf muscle, and we're going to feel the muscle in front of our shin work. This is a secret exercise used by some of our fastest runners in the world, okay? So that's all it is. We just pull it up, feel the burn, and release. And do a set of 20 of those. Another way to make it even more challenging is we find a wall.
I don't trust that. I would go to that wall.
So we're going to find a wall over here. We lean our butt up against the wall. I kick my feet out, lock my knees down, and then I'm going to lift both of my toes all the way up as hard as I can to my shins, and then I lower back down. And then I just do that again, over and over. A set of 20 is what you're looking for. At first you do these, you're like, man, I'm not really feeling anything, but just continue doing them, and over time, you're going to start seeing some benefits, especially with the front of our legs.
So we're knocking out 20 on each leg?
20 on each leg.
That sucks. Yeah, right? Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Tibialis raises.
Okay. Yes. That's perfect.
Yes.
I'm thinking when I'm watching, it's kind of the same thing I do on my slam board.
Yep.
But to get my calves and my Achilles tendon and
Right. And to even take it to another level, you can take a band and wrap a dumbbell around your foot and still do the same.
I do a can.
Oh, there we go.
Look at you.
So there's always ways to improve, and they even now.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Plantar fasciitis. This is also good for healing that as well.
And then the original comment was she has one of the boards.
Slant board.
The slant boards that roll. These are great for that. Remind me again, what were the key points? Because I'm up here trying to be lazy and just flex my foot a few times. Tell me again my key points.
The key points are we want to make sure that the knee is locked out. When the knee is locked out, then our quad muscle is turned on. Then from this point here, we want to take our toes and we want to pull those as hard as we possibly can. We're going to feel a stretch throughout the calf, and we're going to feel the muscle in our shin activate. This is great for keeping your knees healthy, keeping your ankles healthy, all these things, okay? No one ever thinks about working the muscles in the front of their leg. Nobody does, okay? Only the world's fastest people really work the front of their legs.
That's me. So as you can see, I grabbed a band. The band can be doing two things for you. It can be assisting. So maybe I'm unable to pull real hard, but I can kind of choke up on this and let it pull my foot back a little bit more. Or if I'm pretty good at this, then I can just use it for a little resistance.
So her calf is like restricting the movement. She can use this band to actually pull more and get a little bit more out of it. Also, this is creating the neural pathways. As we're thinking about doing this and we're pulling this up as hard as we can, we're activating its muscles. So we're making those pathways. And the more that we do that, the better that we feel like you become.
Not yet.
They're just in my head.
Norma has made me swear in blood that I will make a YouTube video for you guys. Yeah. I would love to tell you, and here it is. But I kind of don't have that done yet, but it's coming. Will you wait? Till tomorrow.
They give us 48 hours.
I got you,
48
bro.
hours, they
I got you.
expect their video.
Wait, they're videoing this. I can just steal it. All right, calf raises.
Oh, okay. So next, so we're working the front of that. Now we want to make sure we work the back. So we want to make sure we work our calf muscles. So there's multiple ways we can do that. We can do that seated in this position right here, just simply by extending
need to come up here
and
because I can't see
lifting.
you.
Oh, sorry. Just simply by extending and then lowering back down. Now, how do we make this challenging and harder? We go slower on the way down. So we're fighting the negative back down. Same way with the way up. We just want to fight the way up, slowly on the way down. We can make this more challenging by putting a weight plate, a stack of books, your wife or someone comes sit on your lap and you do calf raises. So there's many ways to make that even more challenging. Now we are doing this from a flatted surface. We could do this from a slant board. So we're at an angle, and so we're adding more.
Difficulty?
What's the word? Lengthening. More lengthening to that muscle.
What should I be doing with my feet and my toes specifically when I'm thinking through this
So
movement?
the main thing we're thinking about is the big toe. That is the number one thing that we want to think about first is the big toe. So we take our big toe and we're pushing with that big toe, creating an arch in the bottom of our foot, and then going up through the calf muscles. That's what we're thinking about. We're looking at this stuff in high volume, 20 plus reps. We really like to do these at 50 reps. The more reps that we can do, the more activation that we get out of these muscle groups. So we're looking at things in high volume.
So you can do seated.
We can do these seated. We can do them seated
Wait.
with weights on our legs. We could do them standing. We could do them standing on a book. So if we were on a book,
Come here.
give me something here.
You give me. I got it. You don't let me fall.
So yeah, so off the edge. Imagine she's on a book, and then she's going to fall off the edge a little bit, and then extend back up.
All of our clients with conditions like yours do these. We put them on a weight plate. We have them hold the top. We have them drop it down. What you want to watch out for, I'm fixing to get a little loosey-goosey, don't let me fall. You want to make sure that you're not thrusting your hips forward. And I'm doing this to exaggerate the point. You need to think about up, not forward. Because if you go forward, you're using your upper body to like cantilever you over, and you're cheating the movement.
And so the calves aren't doing any of the work.
Yeah.
Plus,
I know you guys, you cheat.
we believe everything is core to extremity. So we want our core to stay really, really tight. Nothing loosey-goosey in our core at all.
All right, so we've done our feet,
So
done our calves.
calf raises.
We've done our shins.
We do them at the gym nearly every day, and we do them on a weight plate.
Now we're going to roll into your hip flexors and your glutes. So what are our hip flexors? What are they doing for us?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
They pick our leg up. Look at that. Without that, I'm unable to pick my leg up.
If I could wolf whistle, I would wolf whistle. I can't. So first thing we're going to roll into, you guys, is what he was just demonstrating, a single leg lift. So if you can stand up, let's stand up. Y'all look like y'all are going to sleep. Wake up.
This does two things. We're working balance. We're going to be working balance, and we're going to be working that hip flexor. Also, that leg that we're going to be balancing on is also going to be working the arch in the bottom of our foot. It's going to be working the big toe because we're thinking about that big toe being planted. So many things we're going to be doing in this one movement.
All right, so I'm just bringing my leg up, right?
That's it.
As high as I can.
So we're going to bring it up and then lower it down. Obviously, things that we're trying to make neurological pathways, we want to do them slowly, right? We're trying to create that path and then slowly on the way down. And we want to do them all on that same leg. Notice that we're nice and tight, nice and stacked. It's okay to hang on to something, whatever you need to do. And we just want to do a set. We'll just do a set of 15 of these.
I feel like I'm already there.
You already feeling the burn?
I'm feeling the burn.
Anybody feeling that burn?
What's
Right.
interesting is after you do 15 to 20 of these, you'll start feeling this butt over here, and you're like, wait, you're not even doing anything.
Right.
What are you doing?
So we're working both sides secretly. So my foot is flat. If you see, it's kind of working. You talking about this foot that's down? Yeah. The foot that's down. My big
This is
toe's
the
down?
former ballerina in me coming out. Sometimes I don't mean to. It just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of want to be more level-footed.
So if you notice, my big toe is always pushing down, and I'm always creating an arch in my foot.
So if
That
you're
way that my
not
feet are
standing,
working,
sorry.
which allows my hips and my glutes and everything to work, which hopefully is going to keep me nice and healthy as I age.
And again, you were talking about speed, right?
Right.
I have a little bit of ADHD. I don't know if you can tell. And my brain just wants to go, okay, 15, I'm done. You got to slow it down. Maybe count 1, 2, hold, 1, 2, hold. If you're unable to do it standing,
Oh, look, we can even do it seated too. Okay, you can pull that knee up and then right back down. Still working that hip flexor.
And then again, if you're in that position where you're telling your foot to move, but she's not moving, well, we can still practice. Think about if you've got a path in your yard that nobody's walked down in a minute, it kind of gets weedy and it kind of gets grassy. But if you'll just keep walking down that pathway, you might get it tamped back down. So if you're trying to lift that foot and nothing's happening, use this band. Think lift. Lift.
It's all about trying to use our brain to create those new pathways.
And I know that y'all may be sitting here thinking that we're nuts, but I think Greg, and if Carrie was here, I know Carrie could vouch. If I had $1 for every time they looked at me, they said, I don't use the can't word and I can't do that. And then they do it.
So yeah, we have a rule at our gym. If you say can't, cannot, I don't care how you use it, it's 25 burpees. Does anybody here know what a burpee is? Okay, we see a couple. Well, let's show them a burpee.
Are you gonna make me do a burpee?
Do a burpee. So a burpee, we get down, and then we jump. That's one. So if you say can't in our gym, you're doing 25 burpees.
And if you're unable to do a burpee like that, don't worry. We have evil opportunities.
You can still crawl, get down, and get back up one way or another.
We got you. It's evil. So we've got the leg lifts. One of my favorites. We're going to go into some glute bridges now. I know that this is hotel. I'm sorry, just kidding. Hip flexors, keep going.
Yeah, we still got more hip flexors.
But what I was going to say applies. If you're comfortable getting down in the floor, let's get down in the floor. If you're like, ooh, hotel carpet, no thank you.
That's fine.
That's fine too. Just file it back.
All right, so here's another option for our hip flexors, and honestly, this is probably one of my favorites. And we're just simply sitting here in the ground, and I'm going to be extending and pointing my toes, and then I'm just going to lift as high as I can, and I lower back down, okay? This is all this is. My leg is completely locked out. My knee is locked out. This quad is turned on. I slightly externally rotate my leg to the right, and then I lift.
And if you're seated and you don't want to get in the floor, that's fine. You can still do the movement.
Now, what some of you are going to be like, ow, you might get a little Charlie horse, okay? What that is that's the muscle trying to fire. It's trying to turn on. It's Charlie horsing because it's like, oh, you want me to fire? You want me to actually work? Well, then I'm going to spasm on you a little bit, okay?
I'll say no.
So another way of this is also, guess what? Take your leg up and move it to the side. Now, see the difference, okay? So we can work different angles. We can.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I've been there.
Trust me, we get
That's
it.
true. That's
we
true.
can also add another to this by putting that mic down, and I can take my leg and I can go up and over that mic. I can also add another obstacle. So just different ways of making that.
Now, one of the people that I work with, I'm going to use you as Carrie. Carrie's spasticity causes her to be extremely comfortable right here. Like, her legs are here. And I'm like, can we get a little wider? And she's like, uh-huh. So that's something that we work on. We work on coming into a more wider stance. So when I have her doing these, her legs hate it. They don't want to be any wider than that. So what we do is we do the same thing, but I help her. And if you've got somebody that can help you, so she's thinking up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. You know, so if you've got someone that will help you with that, and then we'll get the other leg. So I'm going up and over. She's doing the work, but I'm helping it happen.
And we can also use that band to assist us doing that as well. We just have to lean back a little bit versus staying more upright.
But, you know, you've got somebody that loves you who's not afraid to get a little violent with you, you know, like, let's make it happen. Rah! That's how I am with Greg and Carrie and Tim and all them.
Sometimes you got to get a little mad, a little angry.
All right, so now are we ready to go to glute bridges?
Let's go to glute bridges.
Okay. So we've went feet, calves, front, hip flexors. Now we're going to go to your backside.
Quads, or quads.
You can talk, I'll demo.
Okay.
But I'm kind of short and there's a big plant.
Okay, so our glute bridges. So what we're looking for is she's just going to simply sit down here. She's going to lay back on the ground. Her hands are going to be down by her side. Her foot is going to be, which one do you want to do?
I would prefer not to cramp my hamstrings.
Okay, so we're going to be a flat foot. We're not all the weight in the front, not all the weight in the back, but we're really trying to have the weight center of that foot. And from here, she's just simply going to lift. We're going to really try to squeeze as hard as we can. So we want that to lift as high as we can. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to lower her back down.
Just kidding.
So just by doing the first one, she's gotten a little cramp.
I've been in the car for a few hours. Don't hate me. Okay.
So if you'd like to do that, let's see you do a set of 10 of those. So we're going to lift up, hold 1, 2, 3, and then come back down.
And if you don't want to get in the hotel carpet, you can kind of do a modified version in your chair by, here, switch places.
I'll let you go for that.
So if you don't want to get on the floor, I don't blame you. You can kind of lay back a little bit in your chair and kind of lift.
All right.
That's the most awkward move I've ever done in public.
That's okay. All right, so a single leg. This is the one that really works the best. After you've been doing double leg for quite some time, we have found that this single leg is the way to go. Because we all have one side of our body that is a little weaker than the other side. So with this right here, it's just very simple. We pick one leg up. Guess what we're doing? We're locking the knee out. We're extending that quad, making that quad turn on. We're pointing that toe, which in return creates an arch in our foot, which turns everything on the back side. And then we lift 1, 2, 3, and we lower down. Now this is going to quite a bit more challenging than doing it with 2 legs, okay? So give that a shot, and she's going to do both sides here.
And again, you can do...
And if you'll notice by looking right there, if you've seen, she's nowhere near as high. Her hips are nowhere near as high as it was the other side. We all have that weakness, okay? Now she's really trying to make it lift a little higher.
That's my bad side.
So that is one of our favorite exercises for waking the glutes up, getting them to talk to you.
Now going back to, you asked me about how I wanted my feet. So we should probably go back and address that. Because I said I wanted flat-footed because I didn't want to light my hamstring up, and it happened anyway.
Okay, so in that same position...
Pretend like I'm laying down.
Say that, hey, your glutes work really, really well, but your hamstrings just do not fire for you.
Or they're super tight.
Or they're super tight. Super tight means they're not firing generally, okay? So how we can do that is in that same position. Besides, she is going to be lifting the toes up and simply on the heel only and then driving up. So this will hit more of your hamstring than it does your glutes.
The last presenter I know talked to you guys about some E-stim therapy before stretching, some hot-cold therapy before stretching. You can kind of take this, for example. If you wanted to go really wild and crazy, you could do the E-stim therapy, stretch your hamstrings out, have somebody roll your hamstrings, get them good and pliable, and then do 50 of these, which that's kind of insane, maybe 30. But if you get them good and you get them warm and you get them loose and then you do exercises, it's like a double whammy. It's firing them up. It's making them work when they don't want to work. Yeah?
I sit in a lot of my workouts before I get started, they suggest rolling. What is the benefit of that?
Oh, rolling. Oh, it's such a great benefit. Do you want that one or do you want me to take it? Oh, my goodness.
So there is some people, they'll be like, oh, foam rolling's stupid. We use it nearly every day in our gym. In a very simplistic form, it brings blood into the muscle. So if I'm rolling and I'm putting a little pressure on it, That's just bringing blood there. It's kind of naturally rolling it up, warming it up, naturally loosening it up.
So our class every day starts off the very first 5 minutes is spent on a roller. And we basically do 5 minutes worth, and it's basically 30 seconds per body part. So we will start with each glute. We'll start with our right glute, 30 seconds, left glute, 30 seconds. We move to our hamstrings for 30 seconds, our calves for 30 seconds. We flip over, we do our quads for 30 seconds, and then we go to the sides for 30, flip over on our back, arms overhead, arms down by our side, arms with a big bear hug. That to us is one of the greatest things that you can do for loosening your body up, promoting blood flow, and getting everything moving. So, big proponent in doing that every single day.
And if you
it's
don't,
just 5 minutes.
Yeah, if you don't feel anything with it, if you're like, this is stupid, you need to get you a more firm foam roller.
Yes. So
for some of the masochists in our classes, we have PVC pipes.
yeah, we have some 4-inch and 5-inch PVCs
Yeah.
that are really hard that some people really do like. And then we have some that have the little knobbies on those. And then personally, I just like a regular plain Jane black foam roller, you know, just real nice and soft just to get some blood flowing.
It's kind of like a little massage.
Yeah. I think they're pretty much 4 inches.
Like a standard
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah, the smaller ones are not as good, in my opinion, unless you're doing like just your calves or the middle of your back or something of that nature. You're welcome.
And you had a question.
Well, I think a lot of people aren't real sure what you mean by roll.
Oh, a foam roller. Okay,
We did
so
not bring one.
we did not bring one, but a foam roller is round. It's a 4-inch round PVC pipe. It's 3 feet long and it's just round. And
Yeah.
it's just 4 inches around. It's that big around, and we just roll our body on it to loosen our muscles up. So our body weight puts pressure on our muscles, and it allows blood to flow to those areas, which preps our body for movement because we want that blood into those muscle groups.
They're, just Google Amazon. Thank you for asking that because I assumed.
Foam roller. They're called foam rollers.
Amazon foam roller. There'll be 5 million of them. If it's your first one, get the cheapest black composite.
$5 to $10 would be the greatest thing you ever bought.
It's 2022. They're at least.
Times have changed. Not my bad.
And you'll have to wait 82 weeks to get it. All right, we got some reverse squats.
Oh, okay. So reverse squat. So this is one of my latest favorite exercises, actually.
Going back to the beginning, I talked about squats, right? So it's a very functional movement because it's using every muscle in my body. It's using my core, it's using my butt. I'm coming all the way down and I'm coming all the way up. Well, some people struggle with that.
Or we're unable to do it loaded, right? So our body weight is too much for that, okay? So we have
do
found
things
a
like
way
that.
that we could do this with no body weight.
Now this is going to be dangerous, me having 2 microphones.
Yeah.
This is one that if you have a friend that helps you with your mobility, that's great. If you don't have someone to help you, you're going to find something to anchor this to. Probably not that chair because it's going to go flying, but maybe your bed or something sturdy, your couch.
You know, your doorknob with your door shut, just whatever you can find that's solid.
All right, so I'm going to stand, straighten your legs back out. We're going to set it so that the bands are at his feet.
So I like to take the handles and I slide them over my toes, over my foot, into the middle of my foot. And then obviously if I'm at home, then I will attach it to a steel beam that I have at home in my garage or in my workshop.
I'm sorry, I was just like, who has a steel beam in their house?
Well, if you have a basement, you have steel beams.
Okay, I follow you, I follow you.
Okay, so obviously it'd be great if I had something to hang on behind me because then I can keep my core a little tighter. But simply all I'm doing is extending my legs out and then coming up into that squat position. This is all this is. Most of the time when you first start doing this movement, exercise, but like I said, most times you're going to feel it in the back side before you feel it in the front side.
Especially if they have a lot of hamstring spasticity and tightness back there, because your low back is going to take the brunt of it.
Right.
If you're the person assisting, you just want to make sure there's a tiny bit of tension on the back end. You also want to make sure that those handles are on their feet really, really well. Don't ask me how I know that. You can also do this one leg at a time.
Single leg. So single leg is when you find out which side of your body is the weakest.
Let's go ahead and demo single leg real quick. So you're going to keep same setup. You're going to need a little more tension probably because of the band, but you're going to do one leg at a time. Now, the kicker is what's going on with his other leg. That other leg is going to try to help, and it's going to try to pick up, and it's going to try to move, and it's going to try to do things. We're trying to isolate that one leg, that one hip flexor. And if you're working on walking, hip flexors are really important. So we've got to go really slowly, lock that leg down that's straight.
So if you notice, I'm curling my toes like this to create that arch, keep that nice and locked down so it doesn't move.
Yes, he's just pulling it in. Same thing, you want to maybe do a tempo, a 2-second in.
I can feel that trying to cramp as I sit here and I'm holding that up. And then obviously if I want to go a little more, I can take my hand, boom, bring it in more, and then come back out. Bring it in as hard as I can, pull in a little extra, and then bring it back out. So that's a way to get a little bit more range of motion as time goes on.
And the first time you try it, it's not going to work real well. And you're going to get really mad. And you leave it alone, and you come back to it in a couple days. And you're going to be like, oh, this works.
Wow.
A variation of that doesn't use the bands, if you just don't have a great way to hook up the bands, I'm going to put my foot, I'm going to do the, you can kind of lay here and just kind of pull from here. Just a different variation. It's a little bit easier. You may find that it's more challenging, but it's something else you could do.
For a different range of motion, for that part of that range of motion.
All right. All right, you're going to stand up again. You've gotten too cold. You've gotten too slow. We're going to talk about walking backwards.
Oh, okay. So another one of my favorites. I got all kinds of favorites on this one
Everyone in
today.
our gym hates it when he comes up with a new favorite.
So we've been doing a lot of backwards walking here lately. Why, you say, we walking backwards? Because walking forward, we don't really have to think about it. We just naturally walk forward.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So. Okay.
No, but think about walking backwards. Now you really got to think what you're doing.
So,
I'll just walk backwards.
yeah, he's just going to walk back. I don't need that.
Okay.
So when you walk backwards, he's over-exaggerating the movement. Again, we're thinking about our feet. He's lifting the toe. He's stepping back. He's lifting the toe. He's stepping back. Now, I know, like I said, from working with you guys, that forward is an issue. But think about how cool it would be if you could get backwards, then forward might even be easier.
Look at the very first step that I make. What happens when I step backwards?
On the toe.
On my toes. Guess what? My toes are working in this backwards walking.
So,
naturally, my toes are working.
So now that
Do you
you're standing,
naturally do that when you go forward? Watch this, what happens when I go forward. If I don't think about it, I'm just going to step on my heel.
or some of you are probably at a position where you're kind of doing the throw the hip, bring the leg. Throw the hip, bring the leg. Okay? Trust me on this. Backwards is so wild, everybody has trouble with it. So I want you to come forward a little bit away from your chair and then go back to your chair. Just go forward, hold a friend's hand if you need to, and go backward. There we go. And think about those toes. Think about kind of Michael Jacksoning it out.
Naturally, when you take that step back, as I'm watching every one of you, you go on your toe, and then you're backwards.
And hey, toes are important.
So guess what? That's working our calf. Look what that's doing. Working the bottom of our foot, working our toes, working our calf. Naturally, just by walking backwards, you are exercising.
Another variation of that you can do, I'm going to band myself to this chair.
Okay.
All right, so we can go back to this handy dandy chair. We're going to loop it through. And because yours have clips,
Just clip her in, huh?
I'm trying to clip myself in.
There
All
you
right.
go.
So this is just giving me just a little bit,
I'm setting back down.
buddy system, safety first. So I'm just going to kind of lay back. And I'm just going to kind of toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel. I'm not really going anywhere, but I'm thinking and I'm moving like I'm going backwards.
And I think that's the main thing here is we have to think about how we're moving. Movement matters, but we have to think about
it.
how we're moving and what we're doing as we're moving.
Oh,
So that we can create those pathways.
I'm tripped.
Okay.
All right, y'all have done really well so far. Everybody good? Okay, okay. So while I'm getting myself out of this, going back to the toes, bare feet. If you can be barefooted, it's so good for you.
All the sensories on the bottom of our feet, right? So the bottom of our feet have all these sensories just like our hands and have these feelings. So we want to be able to walk around barefooted if we can, around the house, outside in the yard. It's really good for us.
And I know that, and again, I'm sorry. Y'all are going to know who Carrie and Tim and Greg, well, you already know who Greg is. When Carrie came to me, she's like, I only wear high heels because that's the only thing I can walk in. And I'm like, really? Talk to me about that. And I was like, do you ever walk barefooted? And she was like, no, because I would trip over my feet. Because, the way they slide and the way they get hung up. And I was like, well, your homework is to walk barefoot at home. She doesn't like it, but she does it. Because if you can get a little more mobile barefoot, that's just going to make everything else better. And again, I know I sound like a charlatan who's selling snake oil, but it's just what we've seen working with people. If you'll just focus on the basics, barefoot, moving the toes, barefoot, picking up this band with your toes and just sitting there and playing with it with your toes while you're watching TV. Anything to get that foot working is going to move upstream. It's
Golf
going to
ball,
help.
a golf ball, rolling around with a golf ball on your bottom of your foot, picking that golf ball up and dropping it. Just simple things like that.
All right.
Because those pathways are so far away from up here. They're way down there.
All right, I went on a little tangent. We've actually got one more.
All right, so we got one more. I believe we're going to work the hamstrings and connect the upper body together.
Yep.
This is going to be we're going to start off with just a good morning. So she's just going to have the band between her legs, and I believe if she can pull some up between, pull a little extra there up, and then she's going to stand on it.
Or get a heavier band.
Simply, side view would be great, but that's your fine just like she are. We're simply just going to hinge over, keeping that back flat, keeping our belly nice and tight. That engages our hamstrings. From there, she's going to have a bent over row. So we're going to get a double whammy. Hamstrings and a bent over row. So she's going to bend over and then 5 bent over rows. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then she'll stand back up and then go back into that good morning. And you can break this up into whatever sets that you want to do. If you want to do more good mornings or more bent over rows. We can also change this by how wide our feet are. So if we want to hit a different part of the hamstring and glute, we can go a little wider. We can also go a little narrower.
I need a different band. If balance is a thing, and I'm sure that's not a problem for any of you, right? If balance is a thing, being here is probably not something you're comfortable with doing. Well, cool. Can you be here? Can you do this over your kitchen counter so that you can kind of prop your chin on the kitchen counter so you don't fall into the floor? You just got to think like modifications. Like, how can I make this work? We have really soft plyo boxes at the gym. And I'll put that in front of people sometimes as like a, oops, we're falling. You know, your couch. Let's be real, you're gonna fall. You all are experts at falling. Greg has told me that. Y'all are pros at not getting hurt. But there's no point in tempting fate. So do this with whatever you can do. And this week, it may be this. Next week, you may be like, holy moly, I'm here.
That's the beautiful thing. It's just consistency.
And then the next week,
over time,
you may be
you'll
here.
see improvement in yourself. Sometimes it's just hard getting started, and then the next day, the next day, the next day. And then 6 months, it's like, holy crap, look how much progress I've made in that 6 months. It's just getting started that one day.
and again, looping back, if you've got someone in your life that helps you out, that's awesome. They can help you with these movements. They can help you make a list and stick to it. If you don't have someone in your life, find you someone. Obviously, I'm a little biased toward CrossFit, but any good trainer can help you where you are and where you want to be. And if you meet with someone and they don't G-haul with you, cool, find someone else.
Yeah, go somewhere else.
Go somewhere else.
Absolutely.
But you know, I got started with Greg and Tim and Carrie because Carrie put a post on Facebook looking for somebody to work with her. Maybe for you, that's what you need to do. You need to just be like, hey, I'm looking for somebody to help me train. These are my goals. And you'll probably find something. Before we completely
We like
sign
CrossFit
off.
too. Why? Why do we like CrossFit? You could find it in any country and all over the world.
Well, and
So we go on vacation, guess what?
we can go
We
CrossFit.
still go to a CrossFit.
But really, CrossFit is based on functional movements.
No matter where
And I
you
think that's
are.
why it translates so well to HPS and PLS. It's functional movements. It's not doing things just to be doing them. It's doing them for a reason. You know, grandmom is carrying her kitty litter and she drops it. Well, she's got to pick it up.
We want to teach grandma how to pick that up correctly, where she doesn't hurt her back and she doesn't have to go to the hospital.
Yeah. So anyway, any questions before we officially close this out? Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes I have pain in my SI joint.
Yes.
I go to PT twice a week, once in the pool and once in the gym. So what they taught me to do is to take the pole, stick it in between, okay, so you know where I'm
Yes,
going?
ma'am.
Okay. If I don't have my broomstick or my bamboo stick, I mean, I have a couple different things I use. What can I do to get rid of the pain?
To get rid of the pain.
in my joint without having to hold my pole?
Yeah. So she's got some SI joint issues, and there is an at-home fix for that. Like if you can't get to your chiro or your PT, there's an at-home fix where you can take like a broomstick and you can kind of manipulate and kind of get some relief
Pop
on
it
that.
back into place, kind of, per se.
I'm sorry?
Popping it back into place.
Yeah, kind of
per
popping
se.
everything back into
Yeah.
place. Her question was if she didn't have a broom or something like that with her, is there something that can kind of get some relief? That's more your area. I know I'm thinking of a couple of like twists, but it's not going to be.
That's pretty much it without having.
And
an
I can address that with you in a
apparatus.
second before we get out of here. Touchdown. All right, guys. Well, y'all have been awesome. I hope that you.
Any more questions first? Any more?
Okay.
Okay.
We hope that you've gotten something out of this. And we just want to end with a Martin Luther King quote. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, but just keep moving. So, all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.